Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're doing a little chart comparing and contrasting, taking a look at the similarities and differences between SharpCharts, our legacy tool, those charts that you know and love that we are so well known for, and ACP, our relatively new advanced charting platform, a little more interactive, a little more dynamic. You may have seen those around the site. Now we're going to take a look at both platforms on their own, talk about the strengths of each, why and when you might want to use SharpCharts, why and when you might want to use ACP. And then once we get over to ACP, we'll also take a look at how to sort of blend these two worlds, go back and forth between SharpCharts and ACP, connect them a little bit. So lots to cover on the show today. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Stock Charts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel, where we dig into the site, dive into those tools, walk through those features, and ultimately help you get more value out of stock charts. That's our mission here every Friday up on the channel. My name is Grayson Rose, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. Wonderful, as always, to be back with you. And as I hinted at last week, this week is going to be a fun one. As always, it's always a fun one here on Stock Charts TV, but this week in particular, we're taking a look at something that you guys have been asking us for a very long time. We get this question a lot. We got these two different ways to chart the markets now, two different kind of technical analysis platforms that you can choose from. We've got our legacy tool in SharpCharts. Those are the charts that we are so well known for, have been for years. Those are a little bit more static, a little bit more of a kind of picture, a snapshot in time, great for studying, things like that. We've also now, in the last couple of years, have recently released our advanced charting platform. Those charts are a lot more interactive, a lot more dynamic, a lot more fluid. And on top of that, it brings everything all into one place for you. You've got all the tools and resources in one page there with ACP, hence the name platform. So we get this question a lot. What are the differences? What are the similarities? Why would I use one? Why would I use the other? And as you're going to see today, we're also going to show you some of the ways that you can sort of blend these two worlds. I will admit, I use both. I love SharpCharts. I've been using StockCharts.com and SharpCharts for a very, very long time. But also with some of the features that we've released in ACP, I find that there is incredible power in those interactive charts and that all-in-one kind of platform experience. So we've touched on these different sort of topics and things like that over time with this show. But today we're going to put it all in one place, and we are going to show you the similarities, the differences, talk through everything you need to know about SharpCharts and ACP. As I mentioned in the open, at the end of the show, we're also going to talk about some of the ways that you can sort of connect these two worlds. We built in some very handy little features in ACP specifically that let you take your charts from the SharpCharts world and actually view those in ACP. Now, the exciting thing about that means that if you want to do your work primarily out of SharpCharts, but then use some of those power features that we have in ACP, we've made that very, very easy, as you're going to see. You don't have to recreate your charts. You don't have to set things up from scratch. You can just jump over to ACP, start using your chart lists right over there on the platform without modifying or changing anything in the SharpCharts world. It sort of blends these two, and as you're going to see, we'll talk through exactly how to make this fly and exactly why it's so important. It's something that I use a ton in my own approach, again, kind of leveraging both worlds using both platforms. So lots to cover. I say we jump over to the site and get it going. So I figured that our best starting place for today's show would be our charts and tools page. Now I got to stop for a second and say, if you're not familiar with this page, you can get here by going up to charts and tools, top left corner of any page around the Stock Charts website. This is really an amazing directory of everything that's there. And if you spend a little bit of time kind of reading through some of these cards, you'll see that we describe all of the different tools and features that you can find on Stock Charts. Now, once you know where you're going, you can click through this page very easily or use the links on the right to get right there. But also, This is a great page to start for today's show because it puts SharpCharts and ACP and our symbol summary tool, which actually exists in ACP as well, puts those two right next to each other. Now, this is kind of our big three, if you will. These are the three kind of power features that you come to StockCharts for. We've got SharpCharts with our legacy tool, our classic charting tool that you know and love and have seen for many, many years. This is our award-winning tool that StockCharts really is best known for. Next to that, we've also launched in the last couple of years our advanced charting platform. The whole point of that advanced charting platform was to take advantage of some of the latest web technologies that are out there, take advantage of some of the power that's in your laptop and your desktop and your iPad and things like that. Some of the new devices that we're all using these days have so much power to them. Take advantage of some of those things and deliver a more kind of immersive, dynamic, fluid charting experience. So as you're going to see, the charts, instead of kind of loading on your screen and being a static snapshot of what's happening in the markets or for any security that you're looking at, ACP really delivers kind of this flexible experience where you can move through time using your cursor. Now, some people are a little bit, how should I say it, a little bit overwhelmed at times by that kind of dynamic experience. Things might move around on you a little bit more than in the SharpCharts world. In the SharpCharts world, things are very, very static. There are great pros and cons to both platforms, strengths to both platforms, which is what we're going to highlight today. But I wanted to start here because this kind of puts both of these tools on display right next to each other. Now, of course, if you want to get to either of these platforms, you can use this page, type in a ticker symbol here in either of these boxes, and you'll jump right over to those platforms. But also at the top of every page around StockCharts, you're going to see this blue banner, blue kind of header. We call that the nav bar of the site. And there's a big menu that you're probably familiar with, right? You type in a ticker symbol, you hit go, and that's going to pull up a chart. This has a menu to it, and what I want to point you to is first and foremost, you can select any of the different tools around StockCharts, kind of common, big, powerful tools here. So you can see SharpCharts and ACP. You can see our symbol summary here as well. So you can select any tool and then type in a ticker symbol to jump right to that feature. But the other thing is that as we're going through the show today and we're talking about kind of which platform might be right for you, keep this in mind. You can actually star any of these common tools up here at the top of the list if you want that to kind of be your default. So if I star ACP, for instance, and then I reload this page, you'll see that this menu now loads with ACP automatically in that menu. That's going to change my default on this browser to be ACP. If you want to change it back to SharpCharts, or if you want to change it to something like our symbol summary tool, you can use this little starring feature in this menu. It's going to be device specific, which actually has a nice little added benefit. You can pick one default on your laptop and your desktop, and maybe pick another default on your mobile device, for instance. I like to use the symbol summary as my default on my phone, and I like to use SharpCharts and ACP as the defaults on some of my other devices with a larger screen. So nice little trick there. I always like to point people to that. Well, that's kind of a little bit of background, how to access these tools as well. We're going to start the show by jumping over to SharpCharts, and we'll talk through some of the strengths of this platform, some of the times that it might be right for you. Let's pull up a random chart here. We'll do Exxon Mobil. I'm actually going to slim these down, get rid of those notifications up at the top. Here we are now on our SharpCharts Workbench. When we say the SharpCharts Workbench, what we mean is the page that kind of houses these charts and all the interface that goes around it. So these menus and buttons and everything up at the top, also your style buttons over on the left, and of course the style menu that pops out from that left screen as well. And then down below, all of the menus that you use to set up your charts. All of these things, we sort of collectively refer to that as the SharpCharts Workbench. By the way, one little point that I got to stop on here. We are introducing a new SharpCharts Workbench, a redesigned SharpCharts Workbench, kind of the next generation of this tool, of this page, later this year. But we've actually put out a preview that you can access now. So if you're on the members dashboard, up here in the members dashboard, look for that member tools section, and there is a link to the new SharpCharts Workbench right in here. You can also explore some of our other technology previews at stockcharts.com/preview. But if you want to see kind of the next generation of the SharpCharts workbench that we are working on, we've actually put that out for you to go and explore now. We did a show on that somewhat recently. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is that one of the questions we get a lot is, are there changes and improvements and enhancements coming to SharpCharts? The key is that there are. We are introducing some very, very exciting new features for SharpCharts later this year. We got a lot coming with that new workbench, but SharpCharts is going to continue to grow, continue to evolve. We've had a lot of people ask us in the last couple of years, do I have to switch to ACP? Is this some kind of change that you guys are making, funneling everyone over to that new platform? The answer absolutely, unequivocally, is no. We love SharpCharts. We want to keep evolving this platform. ACP is a complement to it. It's another option. It's another way to see the markets if you like that dynamic experience that we're going to show off later in the show today. So that is something that I do want to mention first and foremost. Gave you a little taste there of the new SharpCharts workbench. We'll continue to highlight that more and more on the show. But just rest assured, if you do prefer the SharpCharts workbench, it is not going anywhere. We are going to continue to invest heavily in SharpCharts, make this bigger and better every single year. So SharpCharts itself, I want to talk about these charts. These are very static. Behind the scenes, these are actually images. Now you might be able to see this if I turn the inspector off. If I actually click this and drag this, hopefully you can see that. This is actually an image, just like anything that you post on Instagram or Facebook or text to a friend. Behind the scenes, SharpCharts are actually images that are generated. Now we can auto refresh those images, and every time that you refresh the page, we're going to generate a new chart image. It also makes it really, really helpful for sharing your charts, sending them to a friend, bookmarking them, posting them on social media, those kinds of things. Because obviously any platform that accepts images is going to take these SharpCharts very, very well. So if you want to put them into a document, if you want to text them to a friend, if you want to save those images to your desktop or print them out, those kinds of things, SharpCharts is fantastic for that because, again, behind the scenes, these are static images. The other thing that SharpCharts is great for is really studying what the state of a chart is with no interruptions, no changes, nothing happening to you. So you can see this chart of ExxonMobil, obviously the markets are closed right now, so things aren't going to be moving around. But this chart, I can scroll up and down it, and it's not moving anywhere. My cursor is not going to disrupt this chart. Scrolling is not going to disrupt this chart. Nothing that I do is going to disrupt this chart. So if you like to really kind of study your charts in detail, you want to really sort of stare at that screen, make notes, make annotations, those kinds of things, SharpCharts is fantastic for that because, again, being more static in nature, those charts are a little bit better suited for kind of just sitting there on your screen and allowing you to really study each candle, each line, every element of those charts. So that is one thing that I definitely want to point you to. The charts are static and they're great for study. Now, I find in particular that SharpCharts are fantastic for very long-term study. So if you want to pull up something like a 100-year chart of the Dow, we can do that very, very easily in SharpCharts. We can go up here, type in our ticker symbol. Let's actually get this down to a very simple chart with basically just candlesticks. We can come over here and we can actually pull up a 100-year daily chart of the Dow. And this is going to print 100 years worth of daily bars. This is a very, very long-term chart. Because these are static images, we can generate these insanely long charts, really complex, that allow you to study things really, really carefully. Now, this is a fantastic chart, by the way, showing the long-term trend of the Dow, and this is a logarithmic scale, so you can see how far this thing has gone over the last 100 years. Charts like that, where you're really studying different corners of the markets, I find that SharpCharts is incredible for those kinds of things. If you want to go back in time, if you want to really study different periods of time, if you want to set up charts from 1970 to 1975, or if you want to do these long-term daily charts or long-term weekly charts, I find that SharpCharts is fantastic for that. Again, being static in nature, it lends itself to a longer-term study, a little bit more kind of studious approach to the markets and to seeing everything happen. Now, one of the limitations of SharpCharts is that because these are static images, if you do want the latest data, you're either going to use auto refresh up here. You can refresh these charts every 5 seconds, or you can refresh the page every second for the latest data when the markets are open. But if you are more interested in kind of super short-term charts and everything moving, tick by tick, that kind of action in the markets, SharpCharts might not be the best platform for that. ACP for those kind of short-term oriented folks, if you're really digging into the intraday data, things like that, you want to see the markets updating in real time. Those are some of the areas where ACP might actually be a little bit better fit for you. So this is kind of just one example of things that SharpCharts can do well. Again, some of those long-term study. And again, I like to use SharpCharts for my market analysis, for studying different things. So let's actually take a look at that. I thought this would be a really good example. We're going to pull up some charts from my own account, from my own approach, from my own routines, and we'll do that right here on the SharpCharts Workbench. This is a chart list that I have in my account. It's something that I go to every single Sunday without fail, one of the most important chart lists in my account. I call this my weekly market evaluation chart list. It's a collection of, as you can see in this menu, about 28, 29 charts that I like to study every single week. They are long-term in nature. They give me a great sense of different corners of the market, how things are moving, all the different kind of important things that I want to track from week to week. So this is a good example of charts that I'm really just kind of sitting and studying. And when I'm on a Sunday, I'm sitting there on my laptop on the couch on a Sunday before the markets open on Monday morning, I'm really just kind of studying these charts. I'm slowly scrolling through them, watching what's changed from last week to this week, taking note of the developments, those kinds of things. This is a fantastic example of what SharpCharts is just incredibly great at. Again, studying those charts, really letting them kind of speak to you and just paying close attention to what's changed from day to day or from week to week. The other thing that's important in this chart list is that these charts are very tall. If we pull up a chart like this is my intermarket chart. This is a very tall chart, right? I've got a lot. I have to actually scroll up and down, as you can see, to get to all of these little factors on this chart. This is a collection, by the way, if you're wondering, a collection of asset classes. We have the stock market, we have bonds, we have oil, gold, the US dollar, commodities, and Bitcoin. All on one chart, showing percentage changes over the last 2 years. Then down below, we have a couple of ratios. Now, I've set up this chart so that each of these ratio panels are all the same height. They are set to 0.5 down here on the height area, so they're actually half the size of the main kind of price panel. And so this is a chart that I've set up that I just want to study from week to week. It's not about the latest changes from every second to every second. It's really about kind of studying this chart. I've got taller charts, though, in this group where I bring even more onto one screen. So for instance, I can pull up a breadth chart here from my own account. We've got new highs minus new lows, kind of a rolling 10-day average of those up top, gives me a sense of breadth on the NYSE. And then I can dig into other specific breadth metrics. So this is the NYSE percentage of stocks above the 200-day moving average and above the 50. We can do the same thing for the S&P 500, above the 200 and above the 50, the percentage of stocks in that group. And then the NASDAQ. Down below that, I've got an advanced decline line to look at advancers minus decliners, see where that AD line is heading for the NYSE overall. Now, this is a very, very tall chart. You can see how big this thing is. If we put this in ACP, where things tend to get kind of scrunched onto the screen, it's not going to look quite as good. So for tall charts like this, where you're really stacking indexes, you have lots and lots of indicators, and again, you're trying to study things and see exactly what's happening, SharpCharts can absolutely fly for that. One of my other favorite ways to use SharpCharts, again, kind of getting into that studying concept, for things like studying what's happening with the sectors. So here's another chart list out of my weekly routines. These are the US sectors. We start with the S&P 500 overall, but I can then, if I open up this menu, you can probably see that. We've got all of the 11 sectors of the market in here. So I can study this, flip through from discretionary to staples, to energy, to financials, those kinds of things. And for each one, I can kind of pause and study that sector with the same set of indicators and study it kind of how it's performing relative to the S&P 500, how it's moving on price alone, different factors like that. So again, this is a chart list that I like to come back to every single week, something that I like to really spend a lot of time with. And for things like that, where you're really kind of watching things evolve over time, SharpCharts is fantastic. Also, another great example of using annotations on here. The nice thing about SharpCharts, those annotations will stick with your charts and it'll evolve over time in a really, really nice, easy to follow kind of way. ACP does the same thing, but especially for SharpCharts. Again, getting back to that kind of theme of studying and really digging into those charts and watching them evolve over time, SharpCharts is fantastic for that. So those are some of my favorite things about SharpCharts. Again, studying those charts, setting those things up. If you're looking at things just kind of evolve from day to day or week to week, I find that SharpCharts is a fantastic platform. I personally like to keep my portfolio chart list organized in SharpCharts. Again, when I take my portfolio, all the different positions that I have on in my own portfolio, I like to save those into a chart list in my account. You can see that I've done that right here. These are all of my positions, things that I have actively open in the market. I like to put all of those symbols into a chart list and then study them from day to day. Obviously, the most important thing that I want to keep track of, even ahead of the markets and the sectors and all those kinds of things, the most important thing that I want to keep track of are the things that I own. Now, I don't really want to see those charts go crazy every day. I'm not moving in and out from time frame to time frame. I'm really just kind of watching the daily charts in my own approach, watching the daily charts for those positions, seeing how they evolve from day to day and from week to week. And so for me, SharpCharts is a fantastic place to watch my portfolio, keep track of the charts for the things that I own. Again, getting back to that kind of study concept. As you're going to see in a sec, ACP has a lot of strengths in some of these same ways, but also a lot of strengths when it comes to researching securities that you might want to buy. When you're researching stocks, researching ETFs, things like that, ACP can absolutely fly. So hopefully this has given you a sense of kind of some of the ways that SharpCharts can add value to your process. Again, when you think SharpCharts, think a little bit more static. Hear that S in SharpCharts, maybe think a little bit more static. And if you like just kind of letting those charts be and watching them evolve over time, SharpCharts is a fantastic platform. I would also definitely encourage you, once again, head over to your dashboard. If you're a StockCharts member, click onto that new SharpCharts workbench and explore some of the things that we are building over here. We are starting to introduce a little bit more interactivity to SharpCharts. This is going to be coming out later this year, but you get to kind of play around with this beta release now. For instance, we're going to be introducing some interactive features like this one that allow you to actually resize your SharpCharts on the fly. So again, a little bit of dynamic sort of nature to the new version of SharpCharts that's going to be coming out. But still, these charts are static in nature, and they are going to sort of evolve with you over time. The same things that make SharpCharts great today are still going to make SharpCharts great in the future. Now, one thing that is going to be coming with this workbench are a whole bunch of new features down here at the bottom. So we're actually going to bring in things like the symbol summary page, like the options chain, seasonality charts, historical price data. That's another one that's in there now. So different tools are going to be kind of added to the SharpCharts workbench. So rather than just being one chart at a time, you'll actually be able to use this page to see more, to kind of dig into other things that you might want to keep an eye on, as you're going to see with ACP in just a second. We'll also have different features in here, like the ability to create alerts directly from the new SharpCharts workbench. So there's a lot that is coming to this. Again, you can play around with this now if you are a StockCharts member. Just look for that link on the members dashboard back here in the member tools section. So again, hopefully that's giving you a sense of kind of some of the ways that SharpCharts can fit into your process, some of the strengths of that platform being a little bit more static in nature. Again, not going anywhere. We're going to continue to invest heavily in SharpCharts, and I continue to love it, especially for studying my weekly charts from week to week, some of those sort of market analysis charts, and keeping track of my portfolio as well. With that in mind, let's jump over to ACP, and we'll start taking a look at some of those dynamic charts over in that advanced charting platform. So as you heard me just say, ACP stands for Advanced Charting Platform. And the most important letter of those three is not the A, it's not the C, it's actually the P. It is the platform. ACP was designed to be an all-in-one kind of destination for you to go, so that everything you're going to need as a chartist, as a trader, as an investor is all in one place for you. That is one of the big things that makes ACP fly. You have access to a ton right from the platform. It's not just about the charts, it's also about other tools, market summary tools, scanning, alerts, all of that stuff, creating alerts. It's all in here for you. The other key that makes ACP fly is, again, that dynamic nature. So I can actually almost reach out and grab these charts with my hands and move through time. I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can scroll backwards and forwards. There is a ton that I can do with these charts. So if you like that kind of more fluid, dynamic experience, ACP brings a ton to the table. For instance, one of the big things, one of the big benefits you have here in ACP is the ability to zoom in on specific parts of the chart. So if you see, for instance, this kind of setup breaking out to new highs here on ExxonMobil, and you want to see exactly how we traded around that level on one of these candles over here, you can zoom in right there and see exactly what those candles look like. Sort of dig into that formation, dig into that pattern, see the highs, see the lows, draw your annotations, anything that you want to do like that, and then quickly zoom back out to get back to the chart that you were just on. So being able to kind of zoom in on specific charts, parts of the chart, move through time, that is one of the big benefits of ACP. One of the other big benefits of ACP is the ability to create multi-chart layouts. That's actually something that we touched on last week on the show last week. But one of my favorite ways to use this platform is by creating multi-chart layouts. You can actually put up to 12 charts on the screen at once. Gives you a ton of power. Again, as we discussed last week. You can use this for a variety of purposes. So over here on the left side of the screen, open up that layouts menu. You can actually jump over to some of our samples. We've got a ton of samples in here that'll give you kind of a sense of how these things can be used. For instance, here is a Dave Keller market trend model that he likes to follow, where you have stocks and bonds and commodities and the US dollar with kind of a long-term trend, intermediate-term trend, and short-term trend. So you can create very powerful layouts like this very quickly. Here's an intermarket analysis chart list or multi-chart layout that we use, similar to what we were just looking at actually with my intermarket chart. So we take a whole bunch of different asset classes, put those on a performance basis on the left, and then we have a couple of key ratios between them. How are bonds doing relative to stocks? How's gold relative to stocks? How are commodities relative to stocks? So you can see some creative uses of these layouts. The other thing that you can do, though, are use these multi-chart views up at the top to pull up some really interesting layouts. So this one with 12 charts up on the screen could be used as a candle glance style. You could run a scan and fill this with mini charts of up to 12 different symbols. We can also do something like gallery view, where we take the same symbol and we put that into multiple time frames. So we can show you exactly how this is going to work if we type in the same ticker symbol over multiple time frames. Now we have VTI for all of these. We turn on an important feature down here called symbol sync, which means that any symbol on the screen that is the same as another one, if you change one, you're going to sort of change all those together. What that means is that if we want to type in something like Microsoft, it's going to take all 4 of those charts of VTI, change them all together. So now we're looking at a 1-minute chart of Microsoft. We're looking at a daily chart of Microsoft on the top right, a weekly chart of Microsoft, and then a monthly chart of Microsoft. So this brings you the power to do kind of multi-time frame analysis all on one screen really easily. The other great thing about this is that with these multi-chart layouts, you can actually blow these charts up, study them, move through time, move indicators up and down, make any changes that you want, and then simply click to get back down to that layout. So these multi-chart layouts, again, that ability to have different charts in different parts of the screen, a very important part of ACP, one of the ways that really makes it fly. I'll show you really quickly my personal favorite use of this, which again, we highlighted a little bit last week. I've got a layout saved to my account that has a daily chart on the left and a weekly chart on the right. So what I like to do is take watch lists from my account or scans or different things, pull those open on the right side of the platform, and then I can actually just flip through these charts with the daily and the weekly on the screen at the same time. So in this case, we're looking at stocks in the S&P 1500 that made a new all-time high today. We can just click through these and you can see how fast and easy it is to see those symbols in multiple time frames. It is a thing of beauty, one of the best ways to take a big list of symbols and narrow it down to the best ones of the bunch. I find when you find something that is set up on the daily and set up on the weekly, when you got that kind of multi-time frame setup, it is a real thing of beauty. So being able to flip through these multi-chart layouts with a list of symbols from the right side of the screen, that is one of my favorite uses of these multi-chart layouts. So again, that kind of bringing a lot more into the picture, bringing a lot more into the screen. That's one of the big ways that ACP can add value to your process. Now, some of those other dynamic features that you might want to take a look at, if we pull up a more advanced chart, sort of a more complex chart, here's what I call my level 4 daily chart, which brings in basically all of the different indicators that I might want to see at any different time. We've got sort of a multi-panel, multi-perspective view of relative strength here, not just how the stock is outperforming or is performing relative to the market, but also how its sector is performing and how its industry group is performing. So I bring in a couple of different kind of relative strength views up at the top and then a couple of different indicators at the bottom. When you have a more complex chart like this, you can actually rearrange these different panels very, very easily. So for instance, if I wanted the industry group above that sector, I can simply click and drag to rearrange those panels. This is one of the really cool interactive, sort of dynamic, again, features of ACP that people really, really enjoy. Again, if you like that static nature where your charts aren't going to move on you, then SharpCharts is a great choice. If you like this dynamic power where you can really kind of zoom in on specific bars, specific handles, ACP is a great choice. So again, the ability to kind of move things around on the fly, one of the ways that ACP really flies. You can also do a lot of interactive things like, for instance, collapsing the overlays on the fly. If you want to delete an indicator off your charts, you can simply hover over the legend and delete that indicator right off your charts. You get access to things like the full quote simply by clicking on that plus button, dropping that down. You don't have to leave that on your charts at all times. You can sort of access it when you want. You can access and edit any of the different things on this chart simply by clicking on those legends. So if you want to access chart settings for the chart as a whole, things like what kind of scaling you want on the side, what type of, what color you want your candlesticks to be, different things like that, you can simply click that legend. If you want to edit the RSI, you just give that a click. It's really, really easy to access and edit different things on ACP. Basically, if you see it and you want to do something with it, drag it or click it, and it's probably going to do that for you. So one of those ways that ACP really works for a lot of people. Now, we mentioned tall charts. That was one of the things that I highlighted with SharpCharts, saying that's one of the ways that SharpCharts really flies. If you have a lot of indicators on a chart or you've got a lot of different data panels on a chart, SharpCharts being able to kind of scroll as high, make those charts as tall as they need to be, that's one of the ways that SharpCharts really works well. You can do that in ACP, and I'll show you how right now. When we take a chart like this that has a lot of indicators to it, as you can see, that chart gets to kind of scrunch on the screen. It gets a little bit tough to read because everything goes a little bit horizontal when you have a certain number of indicators on your chart. You do have the ability, though, to turn that off. So with this little blue button up here at the top, that's probably going to be on by default, this is what we call fit to window mode. So you can actually disable that, and then your charts will scroll off the screen. So you can see that now this chart is basically as tall as it needs to be, and when I scroll up and down, instead of zooming in and out, it's going to move that chart up and down the screen. This is a crucial feature. It lets your charts be kind of more properly sized so that you can really see how things are setting up. Again, you can still move through time. You still have some of those dynamic features. You can't zoom in and zoom out with just the mouse, but if you hold down Shift Command or Option Command, you can actually zoom those in and out. So there we go. If I hold down Control, I can actually still zoom this chart out. So you still have access to some of those dynamic controls. You just got to learn the little keyboard shortcut for it. If you want to get your charts all back up onto the screen, you just click that. It'll re-enable that fit to window mode, and you'll be right back to where you started. So Some of those interactive features are incredibly crucial for ACP. One other one that I should mention, by the way, if you do want to change the scaling of any of your indicators or the chart itself, you can simply click and drag right on that sidebar, right on that y-axis to actually sort of rescale that chart. You can do the same thing for any of your indicators if you want to rescale those. So very, very cool. Again, the whole point of ACP is some of that interactivity, letting you really kind of reach out and grab your charts almost with your hand and do pretty much anything that you want. So the other thing that makes ACP fly, and we talked about the importance of that P in ACP, the platform nature of it. So again, we've got the charts themselves. You can basically use the controls around the kind of top left corner of the screen to set up your charts. That's going to include your chart settings, saving different chart templates, annotating your charts. That's another thing that you have the ability to do here in ACP. And of course, adding annotations like trend lines, Fibonacci levels, those kinds of things. And you can create your multi-chart layouts using the sidebar on the left as well. To actually set up your chart, of course, you've got the symbol and then your chart type, your chart period, your range, those kinds of things up here at the top. So you can sort of think of those menus up in the top left corner of the platform. That's kind of where you're setting up your charts. In the bottom, you're taking some sort of extra actions. If you want to share your charts, if you want to download a chart image, export that as a PNG, put it on social media, things like that, you can use some of those features down there. And you can also create alerts right from ACP. One of the other really cool things that you do have in here is the ability to create alerts simply by clicking on the chart. So if you pay attention to this price box, when I hover over this chart and click exactly on a price level, you'll see that that value gets filled in here automatically. So rather than having to go in and type a specific value, I can simply click on the charts wherever I want to set an alert. So one of the other cool little interactive features. Those are some kind of extra features of ACP that you have on the left side. On the right and at the bottom, which we'll show in just a minute, that's where ACP becomes a true platform. So you have access to things like your chart lists. That is available in a sidebar format right here. So you can create and save chart lists in your own account and then click through those very, very easily using the table on the right side of the screen. Chart lists are available over here on the right side of the screen. You can run scans, whether they're your own custom technical scans that you've set up in StockCharts or predefined scans that we've actually created for you. All of those are available right here. It's very, very easy to run a scan. For instance, let's do the S&P 900 stocks making new 3-month highs. Let's see if that gets any results. There we go. We have a couple of results there. And again, you can just click through those stocks very, very easily. So running scans, one of the crucial features that makes ACP about even more than just the charts. You have your alerts built right into to ACP, both predefined alerts and any custom alerts that have popped up for your account. And then we get into some of those kind of extra features, things like the market summary. So this is where we bring in equities, bonds, commodities, cryptocurrencies. You get a summary of how each of those key asset classes are performing on the day. You also get the market factors map up top, which is a fantastic little tool. If you want to see, for instance, how small cap growth performed on the day, you can see that value right there, and then you can simply click on that box to get a chart of that market factor ETF. You also have other groups down here as well. So if you want to see, for instance, how the sector spiders are performing, you can load that very, very quickly on the right side of the screen. We've got market movers, what's most active or top gainers, top decliners, things like that in some of those major averages like the S&P 500, NASDAQ, NYSE, different things like that. You've also got the scooter reports. That's our StockCharts technical rank. You've got the ticker cloud, a list of popular symbols that other folks are charting on StockCharts. And then we really take it to the next level with our symbol summary tool, which is over here on the right. So a complement to your charts, you get more data, fundamentals, you get a technical snapshot, scooter ranking, even a profile of the company that you're looking at. So for instance, if we pull up something like Microsoft, you'll see that we get after hours data in here as well. And down at the bottom, we get a whole corporate profile. So if you're researching symbols, again, this is one of those tools that makes ACP really fly. The ability to research those symbols on the go using that symbol summary panel. So in addition to the charts, you can also get a little bit of a fundamental perspective and get a little bit more context, some other data points, things like that for any of the symbols that you are researching. Now, we also have plugins in ACP, which is what this little rainbow icon is here. This is our Chaikin Analytics Power Gauge Stock Rating, one of our plugins that you can add to ACP to really expand and enhance your charting experience. That is a list that you can actually see down here with that little plug icon. So these are all of the different plugins that we have available. We've partnered with great folks like Larry Williams, Mark Chaikin, Arthur Hill, the team at Simpler Trading, Dave Landry, the Market Gauge team, so many folks. Go No Go, one that I really love. We have built all of these customizable plugins that you can actually access. So if you're interested in any of those, expanding, adding new indicators, new tools, different things like that Chaikin Power Gauge, you can add those to your ACP experience over here. Finally, we have our drawer down at the bottom. Now, this gives you another way to see your chart lists here in ACP. Also gives you access to the sector summary, which is a tool that I absolutely love. Allows you to drill down from that sector level into sort of the next layer down, looking at the actual industry groups within. So you can click on the name to drill into now the industry groups within communication services, for instance, and then down into the individual stocks within that group. So again, one of those other ways that we're bringing a lot more to the platform beyond just charts. You have access to data and different tools. All those features are kind of right here for you, right in one place. The final thing that I do want to mention is that we also have the ability to trade directly from the platform. So we've partnered with Tradier Brokerage to actually bring you the ability to trade directly from ACP. If you have a Tradier account, or if you'd like to open a Tradier account, you can trade stocks and ETFs absolutely free, no commissions. You can trade directly through ACP via Tradier. Something that we're also looking at expanding with other brokerages and things like that over time, so keep an eye out on that. But if trading from your charts is important to you, you can actually do that right from ACP, one of those other kind of power features that we have. Again, all of this is to get at the importance of kind of putting everything in one place. So if you're okay kind of bouncing from page to page, doing kind of one thing at a time, then SharpCharts and that whole world is a great place to be. If you like to have everything kind of centralized in one place, then ACP might be for you. This might be the place that you want to go for your charting. If you like those dynamic features, then ACP brings a lot to the table. Again, lets you kind of reach out and control your charts almost with your hand as if they're right there in front of you. If you like that static experience, then SharpCharts might be the way to go for that. Again, personally, I like to blend the two. I like to actually use the power of SharpCharts for some of my more static charting, studying things from week to week, that kind of thing. And I like to use ACP for a lot of my research, especially when I'm going through my watch list and I'm trying to find the best setups, not only on a daily time frame, but also on a weekly time frame. Being able to kind of seamlessly bring in that multi-time frame analysis, that is a key for me and one of the favorite things that I have about ACP. Now, I want to also touch on this way to kind of blend these two worlds, speaking about using both. So over here on the right side of the platform, the very first icon up is going to be your chart list. Now, of course, you do have the ability to create chart lists in ACP specifically. This is going to allow you to create watch lists, put your portfolio in a list, create those lists for sectors and all the S&P 500 stocks, those kinds of things. If you're operating just out of the ACP world, you've probably created some ACP chart lists already and you know this feature. If you're new to ACP and you're kind of coming over from SharpCharts, or if you want to blend these two worlds, as I personally like to do, then this is a crucial feature. Up here in this sidebar, we've built in these little tabs. You can see by default, this is going to click over to ACP, but you can click on this SharpCharts tab. And what this is going to do is give you access to all of your SharpCharts, all your saved charts, your saved list in the SharpCharts world. It's going to give you access to those right here in ACP. Now you can do a couple of interesting things with this. For instance, if I wanted to jump into that market evaluation list, we can actually click into that, turn off this little load symbol only thing, and then I can actually get ACP versions of my SharpCharts right here in ACP without having to go recreate them from scratch. So you're seeing that right here. For instance, this is that intermarket chart that we were looking at before. This is an ACP version of the SharpChart. If you think about that for a second, it gets a little bit easier to wrap your head around. But this is a great way to keep using the SharpCharts world while still taking advantage of some of these ACP features. So if you want to kind of test out ACP, or if you want to sort of take advantage of some of the plugins, some of the indicators that are over here in this platform, take advantage of some of that kind of multi-time frame charting made easy, those kinds of things, then this is a great feature to know about. You actually have two different ways to access this. You can get to it by the SharpCharts menu up in that ChartLists sidebar, or down at the bottom of the screen, if you open up that ChartLists drawer, in the menu that appears, you can actually access any of your SharpCharts lists from down here. So for instance, here is what I call my tier 1 watch list out of the SharpCharts world. I can now access a SharpCharts version of this chart, or an ACP version of this SharpChart, right from here. I can close this down and see here is basically an ACP version of the SharpChart that I have created. So this is a great way to sort of keep your work in the SharpCharts world, but still be able to take advantage of some of these ACP features. For instance, one of the key things that I want to show you, I'm going to turn load symbol only on, then we're going to close down this drawer, and I'm going to come over to our chart templates area. Let's say that you've installed one of our plugins, like the Shake and Power Gauge, or maybe the Go No Go Charts plugin. So if you pull up this sample charts area, if you have installed, for instance, the Go No Go plugin, we actually put a sample chart in your account when you install that plugin. So this is a sample chart template that the Go No Go team has created. And you can actually use this chart template with your SharpCharts lists using that little feature that we were just showing off. So for instance, if I open up this chart list sidebar and I come in here to that same list, that tier 1 watch list, this is a list that exists basically in the SharpCharts world. If you think about it that way, these are all saved SharpCharts, but I can bring that list into ACP. I can then turn on what's called load symbol only, which means when I click anything in this list, it's going to keep this chart in the middle of the screen, but it's going to apply these other symbols. So it's basically going to load the symbol only. So I can click into something like Cisco, for instance. It's going to load just the symbol. Even though this is a SharpCharts list, it's going to load that symbol into my ACP chart here in the middle of the screen. And I can now use this Go No Go Charts plugin. I can sort of think about this chart list, think about this list of symbols using some of these tools that exist here in ACP, and I'm not disrupting that SharpCharts list. I'm simply referencing it here in ACP. Another good example of this is the Shake and Power Gauge. So if you've got a SharpCharts list, but you want to try using that Shake and Power Gauge, you can install that into your account, come over here to ACP, and actually pull up your SharpCharts list, and then flip through it using this little feature, and you'll see that you get that Shaken Analytics Power Gauge rating for all of the symbols in your SharpCharts list. So again, this is one of those ways that you can start to kind of blend these two worlds. I do this a ton. For instance, I mentioned that I keep my portfolio saved into a SharpCharts list. Now, I'm not going to pull that one up on the screen today, but I will frequently jump over to ACP and reference that SharpCharts list to use some of these tools. So for instance, if I want to go through my portfolio and see what the Shaken Analytics Power Gauge rating says about the different things that I own, I can easily do that. I just reference that list, jump in here, click into my all positions list, and I can then sort of breeze through that using these features. I can do the same with that multi-time frame analysis. If I want to study my portfolio with the daily and the weekly up on the screen like we had before, if I want to pull up that chart template with the daily and the weekly, you can see how easy it is to do this. You can do these things even with your SharpCharts list. So that's one of the ways that you can sort of connect these two worlds, blend these two worlds a little bit, and start to take advantage of some of those features that exist over in that advanced charting platform. So I know that was a ton. This was a longer episode, again, digging into both platforms, SharpCharts and ACP. There's a ton to cover there. And the key message is that we have two different platforms for you now. We've got those static charts, we've got those dynamic charts. You get to decide which one fits and feels better for you. We're not here to say you got to use this one, you got to use that one. We want to give you as many options as possible, just like the rest of the tools and features around StockCharts.com. So if you like that static experience that SharpCharts brings, go for it. The SharpCharts world is only going to keep getting bigger and better. We've got tons and tons of exciting things coming to those SharpCharts later this year and beyond. If you like that more kind of dynamic, flexible experience that ACP brings, and if you like having access to some of those features right from the platform, kind of all in one page, then jump over to ACP, give that a shot. That is another area of the site that continues to get bigger and better. More plugins, more features, more charting power, more data, all that good stuff. We got big plans for ACP as well. So both of these platforms are going to continue to get bigger and better over time. We are investing in both of them. And ultimately, we love having these two different options to give you guys. If you like that static one, go for it. If you like that dynamic experience, go for that as well. Or, as you might have seen at the end of the show, you can sort of blend them a little bit, right? You can still do some of your work out of SharpCharts, but take advantage of some of those ACP features or vice versa. So the choice is yours. The StockCharts world is your oyster, if you will. You got plenty of opportunity out there. So these two different ways to chart the markets. Hopefully the show has given you a sense of kind of the strengths of both and how they can be incorporated into your process. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Got a little bit of a longer episode. Thanks for sticking with it. But we do this show every Friday. Again, digging into tools, diving into features, helping you get more value out of StockCharts. That's our mission here every week. So if you liked what you saw today, go back, check out some of our older episodes that we've done. We've got the StockCharts and Focus playlist here on the channel. But also, we'll be doing more episodes of this in the future. Every Friday, we have new episodes. So tune in again for more StockCharts and Focus very soon. Again, my name is Grayson Rose, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's been wonderful to be with you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, like and subscribe. Follow the channel for more great content. We've always got something happening here on StockCharts TV. So look forward to seeing you again for more of it in the future. But until then, chart on, my friends.